After Bayern Munich clinched another Bundesliga title, Jason, we feel that it's time to pay homage, and by that, it kind of gives you a sense of what direction I'm going to go with this clip, because I am going to pay homage to the man that is Pep Guardiola and rank his reign at Bayern Munich and just basically consider whether or not it's a success. And I am just going to take the platform to just disregard anyone else's claims that he has not been a success at Bayern Munich. Why? I never won them a Champions League. Oh, I never won them a Champions League.
That was going to be my argument.
But
the problem is I was going to do it just like that.
It's the same people that are like, oh, the original Ronaldo was not one of the best strikers in the world because he never won a Champions League.
Yeah, so was Stevie Gerrard not successful at Liverpool because he never won a Premier League title?
Exactly. It's the same. People are just coming in. If Pep Guardiola had never managed Barcelona, he would still be considered a fantastic manager. People will come in and just directly compare his team to the Barcelona team when, like, most of those players that he managed stuck around at Barcelona, and what happened? Oh yeah, they still won. They went on to win. It didn't really matter who the manager was. That team was a successful team, and they would have went on to obtain success. Yes, before that, Frank Rijkaard wasn't as emphatic as Pep Guardiola, but Luis Enrique inherits that team and guides them to success. Like, you need to have a good amount of fundamental knowledge of the game and be able to play that triangular offense, which we're going to discuss in a minute. But like, Pep Guardiola tried to bring over that Barcelona style, which I will highlight, and it didn't work as well in the Champions League. But they just won another Bundesliga title. They've been so dominant, more dominant than any other Bayern Munich team. Because why? Because they went on to win consecutive titles more than any team in Germany has done. And although he took over from that reign and wasn't, I would say, responsible for all of those trophies, he still guided that ship to success and created a team which is going to live on to be more successful. If Ancelotti comes in and suddenly just changes things drastically and they go on and win a Champions League, I will be the first to put my hands up and say, all right, but all the fundamentals that Ancelotti will pick apart and utilize are going to be the same things that Pep Guardiola has installed.
Yeah, so if you look back on the last 3 years of Pep Guardiola's reign in the Champions League, you'll notice that there's only one league, a Liga, if I may, a La Liga, that gets in the way. It was Neymar, Messi, Suarez last year. Nobody was beating them, hence why they went on to win the Champions League. Prior to that, it was Real Madrid. Nobody was beating them, hence why they went on to win the Champions League. And then this most recent example, it was against Atletico Madrid, who just disposed of fill in blank before here, Barcelona. Bayern, and very well could go on to win the Champions League. So he has a problem, I guess, with just La Liga teams. Although I think when he goes to Man City, it might be a little bit different. Yeah. I want to say more of a challenge than Bayern Munich, but different of a challenge because there are tougher atmospheres to play in the Premier League. It is more competitive, and by that, I'm going to follow your lead. Basically, 1 through 8 or a Leicester City can win the Premier League each year, whereas in the Bundesliga, it's pretty much the last few years Bayern or Dortmund.
Yes, exactly.
And Spiel, you can now talk about triangles.
And Borussia Dortmund, before we got into that, this current Borussia Dortmund team is one of the best Borussia Dortmund teams I think we've seen, and he was still able to fend off that challenge, and whilst still trying to do what he could to get that team to the Champions League title. And it's not like they've been falling away each year. They fell away emphatically against Barcelona. They had some injuries, blah, blah, blah. Messi did Messi things and ripped them apart. Last season. Yeah. This season against Atletico, a couple of things go a little bit different. I just think they weren't as versatile in their attack, and that's something that Pep Guardiola will understand. And he's a good, honest manager. He will take it into consideration. But let's discuss the style of play that he tried to propose at Bayern Munich.
Successfully proposed and did it. He won Bundesliga titles.
Yes, and he did install it well, and teams in the Bundesliga could not keep up with him, and he brought in players to fill into those very similar void that he had at Barcelona. So you see here, this is an image taken from Barcelona, who, by the way, still play that exact same style that Pep Guardiola had just completely drilled into this team. So it is obviously that 4-3-3, but often can shift to a 4-2-3-1 or allows Messi to kind of move freely. And it's all about working in those triangles, finding utility players to be able to find different pockets on the field and get it to your best players in the final third, whilst obviously having so much more dominance. So everyone has to work in triangles. There always has to be that option.
At first I was only looking at the middle triangle, and I was like, where the F are these?
They all connect. You don't just have to, each player has a role, and I think with Guardiola, whenever you get the ball, you should have at least 2 or 3 options. there should be 2 other players who's trying to make themselves available.
Makes sense.
And he sculpted players. Whoa, my voice went high. And he sculpted players into getting the best out of their own game. Philip Lahm, who Guardiola called the most intelligent player he's ever worked with.
Fundamental.
He moved into a holding midfielder role, and he didn't always play there, but he was able to get the most out of him. And Philip Lahm went on to achieve great things, just a phenomenal footballer, a phenomenal ambassador, and he thrived under Guardiola. So if you look at this image, it's very similar. It's a Bayern Munich triangular offense, which he tried to install as well. But the difference is,
It's all Lahm.
they don't have Messi. They don't have a Messi in there who I think could take up that free role. That's the main thing I see. So you see Lahm in the middle is trying to take it, and they had natural width, something that Barcelona didn't need as much because Messi would be able to find the ball in the pocket and do. The only way to describe it is Messi things. When he does things that you cannot tactically do anything against, all you can do is try to find a way to get him space, to find him in positions where he can utilize his ability more so. So you see Lahm would take up that role. Xabi Alonso, when he'd come in, would take it up. And then when you have players that, like Lewandowski, you're going to try and utilize him to the best of your ability. But the biggest downfall I see from Pep Guardiola is that he didn't have anyone who could compare to Ronaldo and Messi in that way. That's the only real criticism I can have of him. You put Messi into that team against Atletico Madrid. Do they beat them? I can only say a what-if scenario. I don't know. Maybe we'll put it into a FIFA simulator and see what happens. But I think they were missing that X factor, that player that could.
The only reason I can
things.
say no, they don't beat him, is because Atletico beat that team already.
Yeah, maybe.
In a way, if they're using a similar triangular offense, it's not the triangle, guys. It's different. Then it's a similar offense, or not offense. I'm sorry,
Okay,
World
similar
Football fans.
attack.
It's a similar attacking
No one
strategy.
will hold that against you.
On
We're in
top
America.
of Atletico already beat that Messi, Neymar, Suarez group. Throw Messi into Bayern's team. It's more systematic. I don't know. Maybe okay. Maybe I take it. You're right. Fine. What if challenge?
It's a bit. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be Messi. It could be Ronaldo as well. The way like Ronaldo and Messi, they're obviously people don't realize how similar they play because they're different style of footballs and the way they look. But watch their movements. Ronaldo isn't simply, he starts out in wide left, but you'll find Ronaldo picking up the ball wherever he can utilize the space that's given to him. Messi does the same thing, except Messi will come in centrally a lot more. And that typical guy, like Messi as a player, is a testament to Guardiola as well, because he's went on to achieve phenomenal things and he thrives under that system. I just think that it may just seem like a cop-out and there could be other strategic things in there. I would have made some signings different for Bayern Munich, and some systems work better. If he went with a more traditional 4-4-2 or maybe even a 4-5-1 and did it simply, which he has done and experimented with, and rather not just try and install that same similar style like he did at Barcelona, he might have got Champions League success. But what I give him credit for is he didn't want to change. He loves the attractive style of football. He loves to try and play football that is aesthetically pleasing but gets the job done. And I'm not going to discredit anyone for that, just because, as we throw up the graphic here, his semi-final appearances haven't been the best in terms of his record. He's had 6 semi-final appearances.
That's a lot of goals conceded.
Yeah, that's what he's put, because that is that attractive style of football.
With the hashtag on the bottom.
Hashtag trauma. I don't think he'll be feeling too much trauma. But to round out the clip, it's just a question that everyone is posing is, was he a success at Bayern Munich? Of fucking course he was. Of course he was.
Obviously.
And if you argue against it, then I'm afraid you're the same people. You're Man City fans then, if I'm going to tie it back, if you don't think he's a success, because not that Pellegrini was an unbelievable success, but they think he was that much of a failure, even though he won them a Premier League trophy, that they just discarded him and left the stadium early. So riddled with success, that Manchester City history, that you just discard a manager like that. That's the same people that are like, I never won a Champions League. He's obviously not a great manager.
You were so close to doing Van Gaal's voice there. So close.
I won Champions League in the best team. So that's basically my summary of it. Is he created his own monster because of how good he was in Barcelona. But I'm never going to rag on a guy who's just, he's uncomfortable being comfortable, right?
I hear you.
That's a great way to describe Pep Guardiola. Uncomfortable being comfortable. He wants to push himself. He wants to experiment. And we'll see how he does at Manchester City. If I was to put my chips anywhere, it would be fondly on the shoulders of the handsome, bald eagle, Guardiola, and I would count on him to do good things.
Fair enough.
Would
I
you?
agree.
What do you think, Man City Champions League? If
Next
they make
year?
it?
No chance.
Well, they might not make it.
I can't say no chance. Little chance. They don't even be in it. Europa League? They're not going to lose a game.
One word. Leicester. It means everything's possible.
Mahrez is staying.
Hit us in the comments. Pep Guardiola, what's your success at Bayern Munich? If you must make an argument against it, make it a good one. I'm going to read it word for word, stat by stat, check by check, suit by suit. Come back again.